Hello, this is Justin Santolaya, and if you're selling your home, there are 3 red flags you should look for on every offer that comes your way. Number 1, when the offer says and or assignee as the buyer. What that means is that the buyer has the right to assign the purchase contract to someone else. Now, this is very common with investment properties where buyers are assigning the contract to another entity that they might have, or they're trying to wholesale it to another buyer. So if you're selling your property, it's very important to know exactly who the buyer is and what their intentions are. Are they actually going to close on the property, or are they trying to take that purchase contract and sell it to another buyer? Now, it's okay if they do that. However, that really affects the chances of your property closing if they can't find another buyer that's willing to pay above what they're willing to pay. So something very important to look for, definitely make sure that whoever's buying the property is actually someone that can actually commit to the deal and close it. Number 2, no appraisal contingency. Now, everybody would love to see an offer with no appraisal contingency. This just means that basically the sales price is not restricted to the appraised value that the bank gives it. So who wouldn't want to see an offer with no appraisal contingency? Everybody would love to see that. However, there's one thing that you do have to look for when you do see no appraisal contingency, and that's the buyer's proof of funds. How much money do they have in the bank in reserves to pay for any potential appraisal gap? Now, if they have limited proof of funds, limited capital, and they've removed the appraisal contingency, well, that's a red flag right there, because you know that there is a substantial appraisal gap. That buyer does not have the adequate funds to close the deal. So what do people do in those circumstances, or home buyers, what do they do if there's such a wide appraisal gap, is they utilize the inspection contingency to get out of the deal. As a matter of fact, I see it all the time where the property does not appraise, the buyers are on the hook for that gap, and they say, you know what, we're just going to cancel the deal based on the physical inspection. So it's kind of a shady practice. So it's something you should definitely look for if you see an offer with no appraisal contingency. Another way to counteract that as well is that if you see no appraisal contingency and the proof of funds are questionable, then what you do is you counter offer a reduced timeline for the physical inspection. So if the physical inspection is removed within 5 to 7 days, that will remove their escape clause essentially. So when the appraisal comes in 7, 10, 14, 15 days later, because appraisals take a while to come back, you have now eliminated that buyer's ability to cancel the deal over the inspection contingency if the appraisal falls short. Number 3, a cap on the interest rate. Now, in the purchase contract, there is a section underneath the price in the finance terms that allows a home buyer to put the maximum amount of interest that they're willing to pay on their mortgage. Now, oftentimes I see that it's blank, and other times there's a number there that doesn't quite meet, today's prevailing rates. So for instance, if the rates are 7%, sometimes I'll see someone put 6 or 6.5%. Now, this will allow a home buyer to basically back out of the deal should their interest rate be 7 or 7.25. This allows the home buyer to get an additional escape clause. So it's definitely a red flag you as a home seller should look for. So how do you counteract that? It's quite simple. On the counteroffer, you'll just put interest rates to be prevailing rates. So what that does is it doesn't really matter what the interest rate is, as long as it's kind of current with today's standards. It doesn't give the buyer the ability to back out of the deal just because he doesn't like the interest rate. So again, look for that interest rate on the purchase contract. It's definitely a red flag if it's way lower than it should be. I hope this information helped, and please contact me if you have any other questions or needs. Thank you.